Hello, my loves, and welcome back to another episode of Unpacked Stories with Petunia Friedman. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for pressing play. Before I start today, I want to be really honest with you. I didn't record this episode from a place of having everything figured out. I didn't record it from a mountaintop or some I've made it moment. No, I recorded it from that in between space, the one where you are still building, still learning, still fighting for something you can't fully see yet. You're here, I'm here, and honestly, that's enough to start with. I've been thinking a lot about how Unpacked Stories began as a place to explore who I've been, the moments, the lessons, the versions of myself I've already lived through. But today is different. Today is not about the past. Today is about the part of my story that's still unfolding. Even if it's unfolding slowly, awkwardly, or quietly sometimes. This episode is me opening up the chapter where progress feels invisible, where motivation feels fragile, where nothing seems to be moving on the outside, but everything else is shifting on the inside. Because here is the truth. Some of the most important parts of our lives don't announce themselves with big breakthroughs. No. They show up in the stillness, in the waiting, in the moments where we questioning whether our effort means anything at all. So today, I'm unpacking how I stay motivated when life feels stuck. Why I stop waiting for the perfect moment to start living the life I want. And the next chapter I'm stepping into, even if I don't have the whole roadmap yet. That's what we're going to unpack today. If you're feeling behind, uncertain, unmotivated, or in between, you are in the right place. I want us to unpack this together. I'm glad you're here today with me, not just listening, but here in this space, in this moment, in whatever headspace you are in. Thank you for being here. Before we dive in, I want to say something I wish someone had said to me earlier. Sometimes your life doesn't look like it's moving, even when you are doing everything right. And that's what today is about. This episode is for those seasons where your effort doesn't match your results, where you are doing the work, but nothing is changing fast enough, where you are questioning everything. Your could be your direction, your timing, your ideas, your purpose, yourself even. Today, I'm talking about 3 things that have shaped who I am. How I stayed motivated when nothing was moving, why I stopped waiting for the perfect moment, and the next chapter I'm stepping into, even without all the answers. You know, it's easy to feel motivated when everything is going well, when opportunities are flowing, when the results show up, when people see your work, when progress is visible. But the real test happens when nothing is happening at all. And I've lived in that space more times than I want to admit. There have been seasons where it felt like the world was moving ahead without me. Seasons where I felt like the only person who wasn't figuring it out. Seasons where I questioned if maybe, just maybe, I had taken a wrong turn and didn't realize it. Let me tell you what that felt like, or felt like rather. It's waking up and wondering if you are the only one hustling in the dark. It's sending emails that don't get replies. It's putting effort into projects that don't take off. It's applying pressure to be seen with no movement. It feels like you are stuck in a place while everyone else is sprinting. And the thing is, no one ever talks about that season. So I want to walk you through the things that kept me going when absolutely nothing was moving. There was a point where results became the enemy. Not because I did not want them, but because waiting for them was so draining. So I changed the game. Instead of measuring progress by outcomes, I started measuring by effort, by consistency rather, by showing up. And suddenly I realized that some of the biggest growth moments happen before results show up. I started asking myself, if the future version of me, the one I dream about, could talk to me right now, what would he say? And every time I heard something like, keep going, I'm proud of you, you are doing the hard part right now, that voice kept me alive on days I wanted to quit. There's a difference between nothing moving and something growing. Think of seeds underground. Nothing looks different, but everything is happening. Roots take hold, before the leaves ever appear. Sometimes your life is laying roots. I'm telling you this because I know how it feels to give everything and see nothing. But hear me, just because you can't see the progress now, it doesn't mean that progress is not happening. And this brings me to the second part of this episode. Before I keep going, I want to pause for a second, not to think harder, but to breathe deeper. Wherever you are, walking, driving, cleaning, lying down, just take a moment with me. Let's check in. If you could zoom out from your life right now, if you could step back and look at yourself from a little distance, what would you notice? Are you tired? Hopeful? Frustrated? Quietly trying? Secretly doubting yourself? Maybe all of the above. It's okay. You don't need to judge it. Just notice it. Because sometimes we move through life so fast, we forget to acknowledge what it actually feels like to be us. So ask yourself this. What's one thing I need right now that I've been ignoring? Is it rest? Courage? Clarity? Support? A boundary? Or maybe just a moment to breathe? And here's another question, a gentle one. What's one thing I've been doing well that I haven't given myself credit for? Maybe it's showing up. Maybe it's holding on. Maybe it's trying again when it wouldn't have been easier to do. Maybe it's choosing growth. Maybe it's choosing yourself. You deserve to recognize that. I want you to know you are doing better than what you think. You are here, you're growing, and you are becoming. All right, let's get back to it. The more I think about it, the more I realize that most of the transformation we go through doesn't happen in the big dramatic moments. It happens in the small private choices no one sees, the quiet ones, the ones you make when you're tired, when you're scared, when you don't know if anything you are doing even matters. We talk a lot about breakthroughs, the promotions, the launches, the glow ups, the big endings and new beginnings. But what we don't talk about enough is the space before the breakthrough. That long hallway you walk through before a single door opens. Sometimes the universe hides your progress on purpose because if people could see it too early, they would rush you. They'd distract you. They'd influence you. They'd plant their fears in your soil. But when growth is internal, when it's invisible, you're forced to rely on faith instead of approval. And that's where transformation happens. Let me tell you something I wish someone had told me earlier. Consistency, it's not about perfection. It's about devotion. It's saying, I may not have it all figured out, but I'm committed to becoming who I need to be. Consistency means you keep writing even no one is reading yet. You keep creating even if the numbers are low. Yes. You keep applying even if you're tired of rejection. You keep healing even if that's uncomfortable. You keep dreaming even if it scares you. And if you're still showing up, even inconstantly, even imperfectly, you are doing something extraordinary. You're choosing your future self over your current frustration. That is not small. That is not unnoticed. There were days where I wanted to disappear, where giving up felt easier than trying again, where I convinced myself I wasn't built for the version I had. But every time I reached that edge, something pulled me back. Please hear me when I say this. You are closer than you think. You are very, very close than what you think. Not to the results, but to the person who can handle the results. Breakthroughs require becoming, not just receiving. And you are becoming. I want to shift gears for a moment and explore something deep. Something when nothing is moving. It's not because the universe is blocking you. It's because you are holding something back. And I say that with love, not judgment. Fear has a very sneaky way of disguising itself as logic, timing, or preparation. But here's the truth. Fear will never tell you that you're ready. Because fear's job is to keep you safe, not successful. Fear keeps you in the known. And sometimes the reason nothing is happening is because fear has frozen you in that place while life is trying to move you forward. There was a day, and I remember it vividly, when I realized I was waiting for someone to come tap me on my shoulder and tell me, it's your turn. I was waiting to be discovered, waiting to be validated, waiting for someone to see me, waiting for the perfect conditions, waiting for a moment that felt like big enough to justify my dreams. But here's what hit me. Nobody's coming. And that is the best news ever. because nobody is coming. Then nobody's stopping you either. You don't need permission slip to become who you are. You don't need approval to start the chapter that belongs to you. You don't need an audience to begin. You just need a decision. One small, brave decision. I want to offer you another perspective, one that changed me. Sometimes you are not stuck. You are being rerouted. The timing isn't off. You are being protected. The door didn't close because you are unworthy. It closed because the room wasn't meant for you. What if your delay is actually divine alignment? What if your waiting season is actually preparation season? What if the thing you think you're losing is making space for something better than what you are asked for? I want to shift from emotional to practical for a moment. Because sometimes what we need is not just inspiration, it's guidance. Here are 3 things I do when nothing is moving. 1, I focus on small win, not big goals, not massive leap, just one small win. Because small wins build momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence builds consistency. Consistency builds results. The second one, I remind myself of evidence, not proof. Evidence that I've survived harder things. Evidence that I've grown before. Evidence that I'm capable. Evidence that I've figured things out in the past. You have evidence too. And your life is full of evidence. The third one is I ask myself better questions. Questions like, what's one thing I can control today? What would the fullest version of me do right now? What story am I telling myself that might not be true? What feels heavy and what feels right? What am I scared to admit? Better questions that lead to better clarity. Now, let me tell you something beautiful that happens when you decide to move. Even in uncertainty, life responds. It may not respond instantly, but it does respond. It sends you ideas, opportunities, people, clarity, alignment. It rearranges things for you. It tests you, yes, but also it prepares you. It strengthens the parts of you that need to be ready for the next level. And before you know it, the season where nothing was moving becomes the season where everything started changing. Quietly at first, and then loudly. And when that shift happens, you look back and say, I'm glad I did not give up during the part that felt pointless. Because it was never pointless. It was planting season. Everything you've lived through has prepared you for where you're going next. I want to leave you with a thought. One that actually held me through some very dark seasons. Just because you can't see the finish line, it doesn't mean you stop walking. You walk because the next version of you is already waiting at the end. You are not walking towards your success. You are walking into yourself. Here's the truth. I used to romanticize the idea of waiting for the perfect moment. I'll start things when settled. I'll launch when I'm ready. I'll take the leap when I have more clarity. I'll begin when I'm more confident. The perfect moment for me was always later. But here's what I finally had to accept. The perfect moment is just fear wearing fancy outfit, whispering, not yet. Just wait. Maybe tomorrow. You're almost ready. Waiting is deception. It tricks you into thinking you are protecting yourself, but you're actually delaying your own growth. When I stopped waiting for the perfect moment, the world shifted. Not because everything suddenly became easy. No, it didn't. Things were still messy, chaotic, uncertain, yes. But for the first time, I was in motion. And motion changed my entire life. And now, here's the part I've been thinking deeply about. Next chapter. Not the chapter I hope for someday. Not the chapter I'm scared of. Not the chapter I think I should be entering. But the one I'm actually stepping into imperfectly, intentionally, and honestly. I'm stepping into a season of ownership. I'm not waiting to be chosen anymore. I'm choosing myself. Everything I say yes to and everything I say no to is going through the filter. Does this match the life I'm building towards? Everything is getting filtered. This is about stepping towards the person I'm meant to be, even if I'm still learning how to be that person. If you take anything from today's episode, let it be this. When nothing's moving, keep going. When fear shows up dressed like perfection, start anyway. And when new chapter calls you, answer it. Even if your voice shakes, your life doesn't change in one big moment. It changes through 1,000 small, brave decisions. So wherever you are right now, keep going. Your next chapter is already waiting for you to step into it. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of this beautiful journey. Until next time, I'm Petunia Friedman.